Hello and welcome to Blogsprout. I'm LJ and today I'm going to do an income report for the public site that I had started over a year ago. So if you look back at my old videos, you can find out what the actual domain is, but I'm not going to share from here on out. It will be on my site, however, if you're interested in finding out what the site is. But this is month 13, so it's August of 2023. So let's get started. So this video is going to cover activities, the number of articles, page views, Search Console from Bing and Google, the income, expenses, and lessons learned. So the major milestones. I created content on the site since 2022. So I haven't done anything on the site since the beginning of the year, and I actually added content to it, and I hope I can grow it a little bit. I don't think it's going to be as big as my main site just because the market's a little bit smaller, but I would like to get this to a couple $100s a month if possible. So if we look at the number of articles, the total number of articles are 39 articles, and I've added 5. So there's not a lot of content on this site right now, and I know if I get more content up, I can get more views. So if we look at page views, looking at the 12th month, which is the month of July, there were basically 1,400 page views from Google, and Ezoic recorded 1,500. There was some growth, though, in August of about 1,600 and 1,900 respectively between Google and Ezoic. Notice that Ezoic tends to record more page views than Google. So if we look at the Google Analytics, the trend across the entire month, it's pretty even. It actually seems like it went down in the middle of August, but nothing significant that raises, that will raise question and an eyebrow. If we look at Ezoic, it's a very similar graph. There may be a slight downtrend, but there's a lot of variability. But very interestingly enough, it's recording about a 20 to 24% growth from July to August. So I'm not entirely sure. There might have been an update in August. That might be why. So if we look at the traffic sources, this site is a little different than my main site. So if you're not familiar with my main site, I do a income report on that every month, and I have a very similar graph, except I don't know what the 16% unknown is. So this is coming from Ezoic. On my other site, I have that 16 or 15% from DuckDuckGo, but I'm only getting 8% from DuckDuckGo. So I'm not entirely sure what that unknown is. But since this is the first time I'm looking at it in a year, as we check month over month, it will probably be a little bit easier to understand what all of these metrics are. But it is interesting that Google is still less than 60%. So if we look at the Search Console results, this is it over the course of the beginning to the end. So very interestingly enough, it really only started getting traffic in April of this year, which is very interesting. I guess, part of it is that sandbox period. Since I didn't really put much effort into it, I only had about 30 articles into it. I guess Google was giving me that 6 to 12 month period, and I got quite a bit of growth. But you do see kind of there at the end, it does start to come down. So I'm hoping that adding the content will maybe help it bring back up. But, the average position is 15. That's not that bad, but that does indicate that the search volume is a bit lower, because even with an average position of 15, I'm getting less than 200,000 impressions. So we look at month over month. There was significant growth on the Search Console, so that's where I was getting most of my traffic growth. I only had 711 clicks last month, but I had 950 this month in August. So you can see there's a pretty big jump in average position of 14.5 to 12.8. If we look at Bing, there was 115 clicks from there. The average position is on the first page, 5.4. Again, pretty low impression count. So in order to get a lot of traffic, I'm going to need a lot of articles. So this will definitely take some time, and I don't have the bandwidth to put all my effort into this site right now, but I do want to try to grow it and see what I can create. So if we look at backlinks, I've done no active backlinking, backlink building, and according to Google, I have a whopping 8. Only 8 backlinks. According to Bing, it says I only have 1. Not sure the difference is from. And then if we look at Uber suggests, there's also 8 backlinks, which is really interesting. It's matching the number from Google, but it only has a domain authority of 2. So if you look at the SEMrush, it's very interesting that it even says I have an authority of 9. I think that's really high for this site. My main site only has an authority of about 17, so it's surprising it's even halfway, considering there's a lot fewer articles and a lot less traffic. Backlinks, though, it says there are 32 backlinks, which is much higher, so I think that's pretty inaccurate. But if we look at income, things get a little weird this month. So if you haven't watched my other income report, you know that my main site experienced some income changes, and I actually removed a site from Ezoic, but I plan to put every other site on Ezoic because I've had great experience. I just wanted to play around with some different options for my business, but for sites that are like this and the other ones that I'm starting to build, Ezoic's going to be a perfect platform for me to grow, get a little bit of income, and really build a website from the ground up. So if we look at the monthly income, it was actually $73. So that seems very high for the number of views I got. I had less than 2,000 page views. So that would be a really, really high RPM. So this is what kind of happened. So you can see at the end of August, things were all wonky with the Ezoic income. And you can see last month I got $20. So nothing significant. But I hope I can increase that, get that to maybe $200-300. That's at least my goal for the near future. But why I saw this significant jump is that the other site had been removed around this time at August. So all of the premium that I was paying was for a much higher income range. But because I wasn't getting the same amount of traffic, it was sending all of my premium ads basically to this one site. So I got a huge spike in actual income, but you can see that started to come down over the month as Ezoic started to realize I didn't have the traffic and the regular income to support the amount I was paying for premium. So through mediation, only $1.66 came from that. I have no other affiliates at the moment. I don't know if there's any good affiliate programs, to be honest, in this niche, so I'd have to look at that. But at the moment, there's no Amazon, there's nothing like that. This is all just based on ads. So if we look at the EPMV, Ezoic claims that it's around 44, but if we kind of ignore all the stuff that happened at the end of the month, it's around 15. So it's quite a bit less than my other site, and I don't expect it to be very high. It's not a high demand, high consumer market. So expenses, this is a giant question mark right now because it is unclear how much of my Ezoic premium is going to this site versus the other site. So it's kind of all over the place at the moment. There definitely are some expenses because I have signed up for Ezoic premium for at least the next year. So I will be paying something. But since I'm now paying significantly less, I've actually already paid for a few months in advance. So for the time being, I'm going to say there are basically no expenses. So lessons learned. The biggest thing here is that Ezoic Premium was overestimated due to the other site leaving. So Premium takes a look at everything in Ezoic, all of your sites, not just one site at a time. So if you add or remove sites, things are going to change in the Premium profile. And I was, my entire portfolio was earning about 1,300 base Zoic dollars, and the premium on top of it I was paying anywhere from $200 to $400. But since the bulk of that came from the site that got moved, it uh, was overestimating, and it took a long time for it to realize I wasn't making as much on the Zoic. So there's a lot that's going to be figured out in the next couple months that I will go along with you and share the journey. But I absolutely will stick with the Zoic. You can see I'm wearing the hat right now. I know they just sent me that, so I'm really excited. Excited to wear that because I've had a great experience with my site. Even this one, being on it for a year. Sure, it's only made $15 to $20 a month, but that's been totally passive for the last year. So multiply that by 12, it's something. It's a little something extra every year, but considering I'm hoping to put more effort into it, I hope to build that up and maybe get it to a point that I sell it or leave it to build. We'll see. Um, but what was interesting is that I was in that higher Zoic premium. One thing I learned is that it actually distributed the amount I was paying and compensated it by putting the like high end premium ads on this site. So that was interesting. Um, I got $75 this month, but realistically, in the next month or so, I'll get 15 to 20, maybe 25. Um, so, speaking of going into goals for month 14, I want to add 15 articles. I want to get $25 in revenue, and I want to surpass the 2,000 page views. We'll see if I can keep up with it. There is a lot going on right now with my portfolio, with my social excursion. I've been spending a lot of time on that. Um, I just started a new site a couple months ago, not a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, and I'm trying to build that up, but it's a different kind of site. I don't know if it's going to work, but if you've been watching my channel, we tend to spread ourselves a little bit too thin here, but I thought 15 was a pretty solid goal. For this month, since I want to get at least 10 on the new site. I'm sticking with my my social video reselling um, excursion, and that takes up probably the most amount of time, but it's also a passion of mine, so I'm enjoying it at the same time and trying to make a little bit on the side when I get there. So that's all I have for this income report. It's definitely different than the other income reports you've been used to. I haven't shown this site for over a year, but I'm really interested to see what I can do with this site and take you along that journey with me as I add more content to it. So thank you guys for watching. I'm LJ and this is Bogsprout. See you in the next video. Bye.